think we're live. Cool. Sorry, just a little delayed. Just trying to make sure I can like see comments and stuff. Oh my god. How do I? Okay, there we go. Sorry, just trying to make sure everything's like live and working. Looks like I'm good now. D Gordo. What up, dog? All right. Anyways, just kind of getting distracted. I'm in a smaller screen right now. But yeah, so we got September 6th. September 6th. I don't know where September even came from. March 6th. And the agenda is to keep this under 10 minutes. We're already doing great, as you can tell. Kind of flustered for no reason at all. But yeah, so hey everyone, hope you're enjoying life. I know it's not always easy, but I'm here for anyone who needs it. And I promise if you start to do the things you're avoiding, you'll start to see a clearer picture. So it's easier said than done, but that's kind of my starting point there. The daily quote for today, and I apologize that I haven't been quoting it early enough. I'm actually going to try to post the daily quote the night before and kind of before going to bed, get it out there. And so I basically have a week in advance. Like I said I was going to do, I have all the artwork and stuff like that. I actually already posted to Twitter. So if you want to get a sneak peek, go ahead and follow me on Twitter. Otherwise, going to be kind of using, oh, it's funny, my shirt's kind of green. So my background's like on the shirt. I didn't even realize that until just now. It's actually kind of funny. It's not on Facebook, but on the Instagram, it is kind of like that. Anyways, yeah. So going to be better about doing that. I also think the goal of doing that the night before is we're going to actually kind of manifest the quote of the day tomorrow into my subconscious. That's part of why I put all these to-do lists kind of ahead of time, like what I plan on doing so I can nail the day down. And that's what I'm doing. So the quote for today is from Eleanor Roosevelt. It goes, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." And again, that's Eleanor Roosevelt. So a couple of lessons learned myself and some things that I have kind of on the docket here are just like I want to focus on one or two things per day. I found that if I do any more than that, I start to get overwhelmed or just kind of lose focus and less efficient. And so in order to maximize productivity, really sticking on one to two things per day, that's a lot easier said than done. There's going to be some days where I have like work, I'm going to be writing comedy. And if I only do those two things, then that's not a whole lot else, kind of what I'm up to or trying to do. And so, yes, one to two things per day. I think kind of an underlying theme is going to be posting on Facebook and social media. That's like real estate. That's really like my 9 to 5 main job is keeping real estate afloat. And so that's just going to be part of it. Next lesson learned is the importance of setting a schedule, making a plan and working the plan in order to get results. So that's kind of lesson learned number 2. I definitely see the scheduling works a lot better for me, especially how busy I am. Keeps me on track, keeps me motivated, and I get to ultimately see the results of it. I also just want to stop making excuses and allowing fun things to get in my way of daily tasks. You could even hear it above where I'm talking about like, oh, the 1 to 2 things per day, like I won't get to do things I want. Well, too bad. Sometimes you got to just focus on 2 things to nail them down. I always joke and say that I'd rather do one thing full ass or whole ass rather than 2 half assed because you just get a lot done and you feel better about yourself, even if you're not checking off 2 check boxes. Knowing that that one kind of item is done right and done to the fullest is really important there. Yeah, also just want to talk about sleep. Sleep is so imperative. Usually I was able to kind of get these short hours of sleep, do some work. I think because I was taking naps during the day, but I just find that my brain does not work well, especially lately if I don't go to bed on time. So today I know it's already midnight. My goal is by 1 p.m. to be asleep. I really don't want to be asleep at 2. I think that'll kind of hinder me and trying to get to work and stuff like that. I do want to study a little bit, but we'll see how that goes. Got kind of an hour to do so. Also just want to be grateful and keep working on kind of what I deserve. I don't know, that's kind of weirdly worded. I have like an agenda in front of me, but I do just want to be grateful ultimately. And so I think it's important to be thankful for where I am, what I have, and not always be worried about what I don't have. I think what I'm going for and what I'm aiming towards is going to happen, especially if I keep doing the things that I'm doing and keep powering forward. Really what's been helpful is like with stand up and stuff is like I have such a high tolerance now for embarrassing myself or just like putting risk out there. And so that's part of the reason I like doing it so much. Am I good at it? No, I don't think I'm exceptionally good at it. I think if anything, I'm pretty average. But given how little I've done it, I want to see how I can expand and get better. And there's just so much I can do branching off of that ultimately. Okay, Last down is about reading a book. I actually had a funny joke today where we were talking about like the comedy Bible and stuff like that and reading. And I was like, oh, I just wear these glasses so people think I can read. Like I'm illiterate. I don't know. It made me crack up laughing. Got a couple laughs out of them. But yeah, so personally, I need to sit down and finish reading just one book at a time and stop starting multiple at once. Basically, the next three I name, I've like either listened to an audiobook of three or one of them. I read two of them partially and just never finished. So there's the comedy Bible, The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, and then Meditations by Maximus Aurelius. There's others that are not even worth mentioning until I kind of finish reading those. So any other book suggestions, definitely put them there. But I think like other people, I'm starting to just have this long list of books that I want to read, but not actually getting them done. And so that's going to be kind of my focus is sticking to one book and maybe once a week, at least getting significantly through it. Cool. So daily updates, gonna get pretty quick on this. Kind of check the time real quick. Doesn't even tell me. I'm not even quite sure. Expand. All right, we're at 6 minutes. Cool. I just want to be adamant that. So I saw 12 properties today, which I don't suggest anyone doing. It was probably like 4 or 5 too many, especially for like a realtor. You definitely never want to see more than 5 if you're showing a client around because it just gets overwhelming. But I took videos of it, kind of put my live thoughts on there. I've been working on a function that when I start to do an analysis, if the net income versus the mortgage is showing negative profits, I kind of do a reverse on what the profits are in order to come up with what's the max payment amount that you would want to be profitable. And obviously, like, not everyone's going to accept it because you end up, like, in a lot of cases, it's between 60% and like 80% of the asking price. And so it's very unlikely that you're going to get someone to accept that offer. But you never know. I definitely have something to lean on against, at least of where I'm coming into my calculations. But there are some that actually go above their value. And so, like, technically, you don't have to do any sort of adjustment to the price because they're already kind of below what you're expected to get. I think that's a sign that's a little too good to be true. But ultimately, my goal with this is to be able to say, okay, rather than 160,000, I know that I need to make at least 130,000 to break even. What am I willing to live with for a year? Well, I'm like, okay, maybe the first year I'm willing to lose, $1,000 or something like that total. And so that allows me to go up to like, 145 or 150, depending on kind of how I want to run that. So it's a pretty cool tool that I'm building there. I do want to look into kind of IRR and some other NAV calculations, but I think it's tough when really all you can do is assume the way that the housing market's going to grow. And there's probably what I want to say, like fixed values, or I think they call them plugs that you can use in order to come up with like a real solid value. So that's kind of the next part of some of my models that I'm running, and maybe even looking to see if there's something available online. But I've done pretty well with Excel so far, and I find it to be pretty helpful. Anyways, I'm going to complete analysis on some of them because most of them I've checked out and they're just slightly in the negative. And so if I am to offer, it would be a low offer. But I have a few that looked pretty good today that are under 300,000. I know for a fact about 3 or 4 of them that I've previously seen have about 3K to 6K profit in the year one, which is awesome. I think there might be a little lower in reality because, like I said, sometimes it feels a little too good to be true. But I try to be very reserved in my estimates so that ultimately, you're, what is it? Expect the worst, hope for the best kind of thing. I always like forget that saying, like my third time saying it. But yeah, so I'm interested in them myself. I saw a 4-bedroom for 250,000 that I really think is going to have good investment. So I want to run those numbers. And my next step for myself in terms of that is I want to actually try to get pre-approved. I know for a fact they're going to say no way, like I don't have the pay stubs necessarily to show for it yet. But between bartending and the transactions coming next month, as well as other buyers, I do expect to start to have that ability. And so if I can on paper pull in like 60 to 80,000 a year, I think there's a good chance that they actually will take a risk on me. We'll see. I still have my current mortgage, so it's a little bit weird. But if I get it at the right price, I actually have the ability with my LLC to pull out I think like 150. So there's a couple places I could buy for 150. I just want to find the one that has the max value. But ultimately, I don't want to wait too long because hindsight's 2020, and you always find like 5 years from now, you'll see. I would just look into an investment property with a cap rate over 7%. I get that. Like when I look at AirDNA, there's some with higher than that. I'll have to look at how to calculate the cap rate, my man. Definitely be helpful. That's a good point though. Ultimately, I do think some of these are kind of in that world. The thing that I'm looking for is like putting it against the property management fees, the cleaning fees, and stuff like that, because these are some short-term rentals. But I think with the cap rate and kind of looking at it almost like a, how it's going to appreciate would be good. So that is great advice, much appreciated. Anyways, shifting from real estate, because I don't want to be just the real estate guy here. Did some comedy tonight. I actually went to the Comedy Cabana uh, workshop, and I met a guy who's been doing comedy there for 10 years. He's a local guy, but does it somewhat professionally, especially in the last year. He's been getting paid to do some gigs. And that just shows how long it takes, right? Like 10 years of doing stand up, and he's just getting paid now. Ultimately, I don't know if that's my goal to get paid from stand up. I think stand up's just a way to prove that I'm not too afraid to get out there, to kind of learn the ins and outs, to meet some people in the industry and stuff like that. So it's just kind of a way to challenge myself, but also we'll see where it goes. I haven't quite bombed yet, although tonight was probably pretty close to a bomb, just in terms of like there was only like 8 people in the place that I went to. I got there kind of late, but I was able to get some of their attention. Anyways, I'm ahead of myself there. No, I'm talking kind of fast too, but yeah, it was cool. I got to see this kid that had I'd met him a couple times there. I didn't even realize he did comedy, but he actually won the open mic night at Comedy Cabana, and he went up. He actually was really funny, and I think me and him have a pretty similar style, and so it'd be interesting to kind of pick his brain in the future. And like I said, I mean, he's better than my set. He got a lot more laughs. I like the structure of his jokes, a lot more put together, and I'd love to work with him more in the future. I also got to meet the headliner and feature. They were nice people, very cool guys. Unfortunately, I didn't stay for the full show. I wanted to, but I ended up going to an open mic that's open Wednesdays. So I'm going to try to do that kind of in the future, right after my Comedy Cabana. Head to, it's called Tap House on Main Street, or Main Street Tap House. And it's pretty cool. Yeah, cool. And I'm also going to start going to Wilmington. So that's about like an hour and a half away on Thursdays. So I'll probably alternate between the open mic I've been doing and this new one. Wilmington's a lot more legit because it's like an actual comedy club called the Dead Crow. Basically, it's like a 3-minute stand-up you get, and you just got to be there by like 5:30 or 6 to sign up, and then I think it starts at 7. So there's that. That'd be cool because that's been my goal for a while, and I've just kind of been hesitant. And then I talked to some of the people tonight, and they gave kind of good info. They also just mentioned that if I keep going to the workshops and stuff like that, they'll actually put me out there on a guest spot, which is kind of horrifying to think about, but at the same time, it'd be an honor because I'm just doing like open mics right now. So the fact that I'd be able to actually do a stand-up set and then like someone who's getting paid to follow me, just a cool idea. So something I'm a little nervous about, I'm not gonna lie, kind of hit me like in the plums, if you will, and I was like, oh god, I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. But going to Dead Crow will be a good set, good chance to do that. Anyways, close to wrapping up. I did go to the Main Street Tap House, like I said, and I did an open mic. The guy Luke, who was running it, was really nice. He gave me a little sweet intro. He's like, "Oh, coming out on Netflix," or something like that. And then he actually said next week he's gonna try to put me on closer to 7. So I'll try to shoot over there quicker so I can get on earlier. Said there's a lot more people there then, and he seems like really pumped to have a comedian. So I'll take it. I'll take all the help I can get and stuff like that. It was actually interesting. Where I went had some good reactions and feedback, but it was a pretty small crowd. Like I said, the one thing I was like impressed with or happy about is after the first couple jokes when they were still kind of chatting, because it was just a bar. It's not even like it's not like fresh brewed coffee where people are really there for the open mic. Like people are just there enjoying like the rest of their dinner and beers and stuff like that. And I kind of got them from chatting to like they all started turning and actually looking at me. So I think that was pretty good. There was definitely some laughs there. A few jokes that need to be worked on. It's a little bit hard because to me, I think they're funny, but then if they're not getting the reaction, it's either because I'm not doing it right or it's just not funny. And so that's something I got to kind of look into or accept. And yeah, I also kind of had my first heckler. He was like a nice guy. We talked before, but they just kept yelling out during my set. And I'm like, oh, it is pretty weird because it's like you want to respond to him and you don't want to be mean. I kind of came up with I thought of a funny response because he had a goatee. And it's the second time actually I guess I had a heckler. So I don't know why I said my first heckler. Because the girl last time heckled me too when I said mustaches make you a pedophile. And then she's like kind of called me out saying I have a mustache. This guy today realized he had a mustache, but he has a goatee. And I was just like, dude, you have a goatee. You're good. Like, I don't consider a goatee as much as creepy as just the mustache. And the mustache is only creepy if you aren't gay or you don't have a girlfriend, right? Like, and still, I just joke because it happens. Like, cutting a mustache is just pretty funny in general, but you're not going to get laid if you're cutting that. Mostly, it's a very small window of getting laid, unless you're just an absolute slayer. So it's just kind of a joke, but it definitely seems like that's the one that gets a lot of hecklers or just reactions. And what I would have said to him next time is like someone be like, check that check that guy's closet, or check that guy's basement for kids, or something like that. Because it was just like funny how offended he got, like as if like he was called out for being a pedophile caught red-handed. Cool, yeah, so I had a pretty clean set. I'm trying to master like a 3-minute set so that I can put it together and do like the comedy or do the dead crow, and then having like a nice 3 minutes of clean stuff. I can possibly do a guest spot with that. Probably be better to get closer to 5 minutes, but I don't think you want too much more than that. So in general, I'm going to try to write like 5 additional minutes. All the stuff I have right now, just add another 5 minutes to that, and see where it goes from there. Also going to try to memorize. So the 3-minute set, I'm actually going to actually I want to have it memorized, is what I'm trying to say. So that's the goal. Tomorrow I'm going to try to go up without the cards to Fresh Brew Coffee House, and we'll see how it goes. Anyways, I expect to have some rough roads ahead, but the challenges will bring me a better version of my set. So it's kind of like needs to happen. In a way, it's like sharpening a knife. Got to kind of deal with break a few eggs to make an omelet. So time-wise, how we doing? Definitely a 10. Oh my God, we're at 16 minutes. All right, so trying to wrap this up quickly. Tomorrow's outlook, working at Neil's Creek House. Going to be doing some bartending and serving. Tomorrow I'm getting a pourer, like, the top, so that I can practice pouring shots with shot glasses. I'm going to try to keep receipts on me, so the tables I have, I can give them the receipt. That might be easier said than done, but I think it's a good practice to do. And in that way, if they say they need the check or whatever, I can hand it to them quick. Maybe I'll wait to do that until they have the meal, but it'd be something I'll start to preemptively just have the tickets when they're getting to that point. I think it will help me be a lot more efficient. I also want to kind of keep an apron and have pens on me as well as my notepad at all times, so I don't go wrong with that. And my goal and what I'm creating is going into the work with a clear mind so I can dominate the day, be all over my tables, and not really worry about helping others until I help myself, I help my section. Not saying I won't help others, but just being more focused on myself to make sure that, my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed, so to speak. Yeah, and also just want to create a great vibe for the customers. That's important. Like, I want them to enjoy it. I don't want them to be like, oh, that was stressful. This person was going a mile a minute. So I need to find the perfect medium of getting all the tables satisfied, making sure everyone's handled, and then also, talking enough to people that it's not too much. See if the bar will let you use coasters with your real estate on. Yeah, it's not a bad idea, honestly. And like, they actually like don't really have a set uniform. I was thinking of maybe like getting a hat with it on it that like, my real estate info or something like that. Just be like, like need a realtor or something, and then just like put my phone number. It's definitely not a bad idea. As far as I know, they're not opposed to like any sort of like self-broadcasting. And I'm sure if it was like a donation, they would definitely appreciate coasters and stuff like that. So definitely worthwhile. I've seen some people like they have like it's funny, it's like sweatbands to like hold their receipts in, probably also the white sweat. Maybe I'll just like customize that so it's a little bit like my branding and whatnot. I think the hat's a good start too, but the coasters are not a bad idea. Sleeper, I like it. No, they definitely would be, especially with all the people visiting down here. I think no doubt it would be a good move to have something like that. Okay, tomorrow my mom and brother are visiting from Florida. They're going to celebrate my birthday with me. I'm turning 30 on March 13th, so it's a big 3-0. And then I also have my other sister coming down with her kids. It's going to be kind of a shit show because my dad and my mom don't really like hanging out together. But at the end of the day, I was like, I haven't seen my mom come down here. I see my dad all the time, and it'll all work out. So not worried about it. Can definitely get through it. Slam 8 high noons and hand out business cards. Absolutely. I actually need to redo some business cards. I want to have it with my real estate and then on the back talking about my landscaping company a little bit, just so that even if I'm talking to someone about landscaping, I can kind of give the helpless self-promotion to real estate and vice versa. And it just kind of shows how much of a go-getter I am. But we'll see about that. Not getting ahead of myself. I still have a couple cards left, but they were just the ones that my company originally gave me. Cool. So lastly, like I said, open mic at Fresh Brew. I think I'm going to try the 3-minute set to get ready for Dead Crow next Thursday. Going to try to keep it fresh and do it without cards. My goal is to try to not annoy people and keep giving them the same set over and over, especially if I'm there week after week. So that's the goal, is to get the 3-minute set memorized. But yeah, this is basically the wrap up. Any feedback you guys have for me in terms of, social media, whether I'm doing something good and I should keep doing it, something I'm doing bad and I should stop doing it, any other feedback you have. I've kind of dialed back having the screen going all crazy behind me. Got some feedback that like maybe it was distracting. It saves me time not having to pick as many pictures. So I'm perfectly fine with it. And I just love the feedback, helps me out. And who knows, I'm not going to always guarantee that I follow through on the feedback, but I'll always consider it and take advice. That's, the lesson that I have kind of in life is anytime someone wants to contribute and offer advice, give them time of day. You know what I mean? You don't want to like ignore them or anything like that. But I could go on forever. I'm sure we're at 20 minutes here. I want to say goodbye. I hope you all have a great day tomorrow. I appreciate the support. And I pray that anyone who's feeling like, what's the point? Or, does anyone even care? Whatever's like that. We've all been there. I just want you to know I'm here for you. And I always love to chat with anyone who needs a friend. No question asked. And that's how I'll end it. So hope you have a great one. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a late night Shane show. It's pretty funny. Right now, I'm really red. I swear I'm not that red if you see if I get closer in the camera. It's just something back here, the way the light's hitting. I look like I'm like, Violet, you're turning violet. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm always here for you. Definitely appreciate the support, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.